Invited me only?
Great. Thank you. Welcome to the February meeting of Community Board 11's Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee meeting. My name is Jessica Elliott and I'm the chair of the committee. I'm joining virtually today, so apologies for not being in person. I think it's for the best. This meeting is called to order at 6:34 p.m. Tonight we are joined by Khalid Nixon, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted to the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. I'm going to need your help today, considering that I'm not in person with you all. So please help make it easy for me. The chat should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have any questions or comments about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and we'll recognize you. We will now take attendance by roll call. Committee members, please answer present when your name is called.
Committee members, there are 10 members total. We need 6 for quorum. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
David Giordano.
Present.
Jewel Jones.
Present.
Connie Lee.
Present.
Malik McCullough. MIBM. Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Asher Rodriguez. Russell Schuler.
Excused.
Excuse, thank you.
Malik just walked in.
Malik just walking up, so I'll check in with him. And Michelle Wilsire Clement.
Present.
Thank you. And Malik, you're confirming your presence?
Here.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll do, Asher so far is. Okay, all right. You have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there's no objection, we'll adopt the meeting minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Okay, the minutes of tonight's meeting will be taken by myself. I see Khalid Donna is having issues with her audio in the chat. I'm not sure if we're able to help her.
Donna's a panelist. Donna, maybe try to sign out and then sign back in again? Or is it that can you hear us clearly, Jessica? You can hear us properly, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Or maybe Donna, the volume might be low on your actual device. I don't want checking that. If anything, then sign out and sign back in if possible.
Okay. In the meantime, we'll move to our announcements. Just hold on. Just a couple announcements. The first announcement is FloodNet. New York City, which is composed of researchers and practitioners at New York University, the City University of New York, and New York City government agencies working in collaboration with stakeholders to collect and share data that contribute toward flood risk mitigation and building community flood resilience. They're looking to get more suggestions from the community about cross streets where flooding is happening. I can post this link in the chat, but it'll be on the minutes. If you all could think about, where you see flooding, I think it's important that, if we can get sensors at these areas to confirm that with data, that would be excellent. Let me put this in the chat. The survey's here. The other announcement, any questions about that or initial thoughts on flooding intersections? Okay. The second update was DSNY announcing key details and contract awards for by zone for implementation of sweeping commercial waste reform, local law 199 of 2019. So it's about contracts with authorized carters per zone. They've established contracts with 5 carters to operate citywide to pick up containerized waste from compactors and businesses that have loading docks. They have a map of all 20 zones, and businesses can find information about their program at nyc.gov/CWZ or nyc.gov/commercial waste. Any questions before we move on to our city agency partners? Michelle?
Joe.
Oh.
Do I have the floor?
Yes, go ahead, Michelle, and then we'll go to Jewel.
Okay, I just wanted to find out, is this what was put in effect previously, what they had come to say that they were gonna try and centralize and streamline the carriers?
I believe so. We do have Marissa Yanni on the phone, and she's gonna give an update to us shortly, so we can direct that question to her when she starts her presentation.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Jewel?
I have an announcement, and I'm going to all the different committees to announce this. I'm a member of the Metropolitan Community Advisory Board. We are having the Edward J. Shaw Legislative Lunch. It will take place Thursday, February 22nd, from 12 to 2, and there will be food, so please come.
Yay.
Thank you. I can hand out water. I'll send the flyer to the board office. It'll be a drink hole.
Wow, Edward,
Yeah, they need that.
I know,
That's
right?
nice.
That's,
This is the first one they're doing in.
No, last year they, yeah, I think they started the inaugural Edward J. Shaw.
and before they used to do the Moldivo J. Baker.
Well, we do still do.
Oh, you still do?
awards, yes,
Oh,
during,
okay.
Our annual public meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they were awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jewel. I'm gonna text you, and if you could just send that information to me so I can make sure it's right in the minutes, that would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements today? All right, we'll move along to our city agency informational updates. We'll start with our Parks and Recreation team. And before we do, I just wanted to say welcome to, let's see, we've got our new Department of Parks and Recreation Harlem Administrator, Tapashi Noreen, joining us today. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. As Jessica mentioned, my name is Tapashi Narayan. I'm the new Historic Harlem Parks Administrator for New York City Parks. Harlem Parks includes Marcus Garvey, Jackie Robinson, Morningside, and St. Nicholas Park. And for Community Board 11, this is Marcus Garvey that I'll be speaking on. I started at the beginning of January. So a bit of onboarding and getting familiar with the borough itself and the 4 parks. I've been with parks for about a decade now, 7 years with Bronx operations and 1 year with Parks' environment and planning, which includes forestry, horticulture, natural resources, and of course planning. And I moved over, I'm returning from maternity leave. So looking forward to being with you all, and as I acclimate and learn about Marcus Garvey, I've been also in communications with Marcus Garvey Park Alliance and Mount Morris Park Community Improvement Association as well.
Great, thank you and welcome. Do you have any updates for us today on Marcus Garvey or any of the other parks?
Not in particular. There isn't any updates on the capital project side.
Okay, and I know you had sent me an email earlier about the Jazz Mobile.
Oh yes, there's some recreation programming happening at the Pelham Fritz Recreation Center. I'm not sure if Ruth is on, but she can give you more details on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Is there anyone else from the Department of Parks and Recreation that would like to give an informational update tonight? David?
Hi, is it me? Is it Williams or Serrano?
You, Williams.
Okay.
Thank you, David. Sorry.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of updates here. We had a homeless cleanup removal event on on Saturday, the individual refused services, but we were able to clean up the debris left behind at each one teach one underneath the red steps. That's like a recurring issue there. We keep cleaning up after them like every 2 weeks, once a month, whenever the report is needed or requested. Also, we had individuals at 139th Street, Harlem River Drive. We actually cleaned up over there as well. There was a lot of debris there, so we got a lot of that encampment cleaned out as well. As I said before, unfortunately, these guys come back like a couple of days later as if we were never there. Good news, PS 155, located on 118th Street, is the playground is now open. Great news for the children of the community. Please encourage your neighbors and friends to take care of your new park and your new community. We heard instances where we're already seeing damage to some of our new apparatuses. So of course, just make sure, just keep an eye out on your community stuff there, neighbors. The Harlem Rodent Mitigation Zone, which is the mayor's initiative for the rodent reduction, is actually going quite well in Harlem. The park in particularly that we were focused on was James Weldon. And the report shows that the rodent activity is down there. I don't know if anybody lives in that particular complex, but according to the stats, the numbers are definitely improving. And my staff, when we go pick up the trash, they're not noticing any rodents running out. So that's seems good as well. Marx Brothers, the hole in the ground from the whole thing with the MTA situation. We had a meeting on that last week, so we're still in discussions on resolving that. Of course, that is an MTA topic, but it falls under one of our parks at Marx Brothers Field. Excuse me. So still waiting on information to get back on that. I think we're going to have another meeting early next month as well. Last but not least, Peter Menuet Playground was approved for renovation in the future, of course. So that's just some good news down the line. Once planning, budgeting, and community feedback and input takes place, that project will go underway. So that's also great news. And that is all I have.
Thank you, David. Great to hear about Peter Minuet Playground. We heard from Steve Simon yesterday. It's exciting to hear. It's a continuation of the Community Parks Initiative program. So super glad to be able to see that come to life at Peter Minuet Playground. I did have a question for you with the rat mitigation. Has there been decreased rodent activity also at Each One Teach One?
Each One Teach One or AK, Alice K. I know there's rodent activities on the corner of the entrance of the playground. The exterminators, they've been there as well. Every site on the list. So we were instructed not to put work orders in because the exterminating crew hit those zones on a bi-weekly basis, I want to say. I'm not sure. So if there's activity there, the exterminators are aware. They're checking every site, and then the ones that are highly active, they're coming back more frequent. Each One Teach One, I know there was some also by the same steps. I haven't been there myself to confirm that, but if I check the report, and I can let you know if the activity is increasing or decreasing over there.
Thank you.
Dave,
Yeah. Yep.
I have a question, well, a comment, not really a question. In Each One Teach One part is normally by the bushes in between the entrance on both sides. But you could just check whenever you get a chance, in those two areas over there.
When you come across the Red Bridge, right?
Yes. You
What is
make
the
a
other?
left pathway,
Okay,
and when you make the left into the pathway, it's normally in those bushes to the left and the right.
yes, I know what you're talking about. Okay, and the activity is like in the daylight too? You're seeing them like running, you see activity in the
I'm not there in the daylight and during the daytime,
at nighttime, definitely.
but yeah, but that's the normal where the big holes are, where they hide,
Oh,
etc.
wow. Okay, all right, I'll let the exterminated team know. I have their numbers directly, so I could call them and let them know what to look for as well.
This is Debbie. Good evening. I also have an issue with Art Park. One of the trees in the center space has become like a co-op, basically, because it's kind of, what happens is that there's a hole in the park and they just kind of go in, and I've seen a lot of them going
Yeah,
into
you send me a picture of that and I put it on I told the exterminators about it. I even forwarded them the same picture you sent me. I don't know if they've been there to address your concerns, but yes, I am aware of that one thank you for sending that to me as well.
Yeah, because it seems as if something has been dug up, but I wasn't sure if it's you guys or the rats. You know, whatever it is, but the thing is, it just seems like that.
If the dirt is kicked out like a mountain next to it, then that's from the rats.
Okay, well then the rats are kind of making renovations then.
They're moving in, they're taking over.
No, it's basically the center tree. In where the center of the park is, there's 3 trees. It's the center one where they just kind of, it's regular traffic. In and out, in and out, in and out, and it's just concerning because, you know, the seniors they come and they feed the birds, but then they end up feeding the rats. So it's just something that probably needs to be addressed at some point.
Okay, no problem. And yeah, of course, that is the battle that we fight. But we had a campaign about 5 years ago when I used to do pest control as well. And we would lay posters out throughout the community. Do not feed the pigeons because you're actually feeding them. Whatever's left behind. I've seen a lady, I don't know if it was a restaurant owner, come out with a whole pot of rice and just toss it in the grass next to the tree. And I had to tell her, ma'am, that's so much rice. The pigeons are not even gonna touch that. You just created a gourmet meal for the rodents and so try to discourage people that but we need to definitely bring more awareness to the community about the rat activity.
Great. Are there any other questions for parks?
Well, I mean, in terms of, and I already talked to David about this, but one day I went to the park and then there was a brand new tree that was planted, and it was unusual because that space, which is by the courthouse fence that they share, the trees were removed to make space, and then now they just planted a whole new tree. So I was a little bit confused and concerned because one, I would have liked to know that a tree was coming, because maybe there could have been an alternative spot to consider. But so we got 2 new trees. We got one inside the park, and then we got one on the sidewalk, which is pretty cool. It's a baby. I named her Hope, whatever. But it's a brand new tree that's on the sidewalk, so we're looking to see how we can kind of help, grow or something with these new trees.
Okay, sounds like we just need to continue to work on our communication with Harlem Art Park from the Parks Department, if that's okay, David.
Yeah, they didn't even let me know as well. That's Central Forestry. Only thing I can say is for them to remove a tree, it must have been unhealthy.
Yeah, no, they did. There's a few of them that they removed, but then they came back a few weeks, 2 or 3 years later, and then planted this new one. So, anyway.
It's a good
Okay.
thing.
Huh?
It's a good thing.
No, I'm not complaining. It's not a good thing. I was just like, oh, okay. So I'm happy to see that we have new trees, so that's what I'm, you know, and
Thank
I'll wait till we get to the community, the parks organizations to talk about
Yep.
the other. thing.
Okay, great. So we're gonna move on. Thank you, David. Thank you, Takash. Oh,
No problem.
Tapashi, I'm sorry. Thank you for being here, and we'll move on to the Department of Sanitation.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Marissa Yanni, Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison for the Department of Sanitation. I do have one update, then happy to answer any questions that y'all have. Starting March 1st, every single business in New York City must containerize their trash and organic material. This does not apply to recyclables. They could still put recyclables in a plastic bag, or if they have boxes, they can still twine that together and stack them up. Currently, the rule only applies to chain businesses and food-related businesses. But starting March 1st, every single business, regardless of what they sell, is going to have to follow this rule. There will be a warning month. So starting April 1st is when enforcement will begin. Again, this all happens this year. We're going to every single community board to let everybody know.
Thank you.
I have a question. And I don't know how this relates to. Basically, what's happening is the school across the street from Harlem Art Park, which is PS7, is really dumping a lot of garbage on the street where it's so bad. I mean, like you said, it's another restaurant, but it's so bad that it's just foul smelling. And the bags are just spilled over into the street, kind of blocking the sidewalk as well. So it's closer to Third Avenue. And what they do is they just kind of have these horrible bags filled with all this debris. And it's just very concerning that we're concerned about rats, but yet we're putting out all this stuff across the street in the school. So I don't know how it would relate to the sanitation at all.
Do you submit a complaint at the time when you see it?
No, I'm running away because it stinks so bad.
That's what you, so
Okay.
it's
All right.
preferable, it's better to do that because
Okay.
we try to install a practice where you see these kind of things on a daily basis. Like, please
Okay.
at least contact us.
Okay,
Let
gotcha.
us know so we can contact Marissa Yanni like
Okay,
on the
great.
actual business day.
Okay,
So like, can you please have this addressed? But
okay, great. I'll do
It's
that.
the restaurant, right, not the school.
No, she's.
No, it's the school. It's PS7.
Right, so they're putting stuff out?
Yeah, they put out horrible, like
120th
like-
Street.
mounds of stuff.
But it's contained, no, in the bag?
They have a container, but then the container ends up falling over and then it spills out to the street and the sidewalk.
So, I mean, I believe every school is supposed to have the new containers.
Those orange big ones.
Yeah.
Not even those, they have like
Yeah.
different sections or whatever for sanitation. Purposes, I believe is a new bill out that
Right.
every building and school is
Has
supposed
to
to
have
have
it in containers.
in
Can you
containers.
text me?
But Marissa, I wanted to ask you,
That's one of
is
the-
that what, is,
You work at the
when
school?
is it implemented or when is they supposed to throw out fines for those buildings?
Okay, I'll follow up with you.
Cause you said,
But
you
changed
mentioned
the time from
restaurants.
4 o'clock to 8 o'clock now, so you can't put
So
it
the
out.
rules-
But schools have pickups at night, it's not the same sanitation.
Hey, y'all, can we let Marissa, who's here from DSNY, respond?
So the rule currently does not apply for residential buildings. Residential buildings can still put out black garbage bags. That we cannot stop them at the moment. There will be a rule coming out in 2025 regarding buildings with 1 to 9 units. And then I'm waiting to get more information about larger units with 10 plus units in them. So at the moment, residential buildings, the people living in the building, they could still put out black garbage bags. The rule I'm talking about only applies to businesses.
No, I
Commercial-
understand. I understand, but it just dawned on me to kind of raise that as an issue.
And this is a DOE building, it's not a residential building.
No, it's Department of
Yeah,
Education.
so,
Right.
I just offer like, if there's any, garbage outside of any school in District 4, let me know and
Yeah.
it will be taken care of.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and just before we move on, one of the things we've been talking about in executive and some of our other committee meetings has been the power of calling 311. Khalid mentioned we should report things on the day we see them. It's one of the most effective ways for anything to be like data collected and to be resolved. It's like we just need to call 311 literally whenever we see things that, you know, are not of an acceptable condition in our neighborhood. Upper East Side does it, they get their problems resolved. It's our, you know, it's our duty to call 311 and report these things.
Can
So
I add
maybe-
one more thing?
Yeah, maybe what you need to do, maybe what we need to consider is some kind of community public awareness campaign. That kind of, you know, like, as long as it takes you 5 seconds to scroll, 5 seconds to call, or some kind of catchy something where we encourage people to act in the moment.
Khalid, is that in our newsletter generally?
You know, we can make a post to,
Yeah.
in a newsletter that, here's the link to the 311 portal.
Yeah,
and,
something-
You know,
That would be
please
great.
utilize it.
Yeah, and then put like a nice tag on it or something where it's kind of, you know.
Right. I
Thank
mean, other cases, us as an office, we prefer if there's already a 311 request submitted already, so that we can, you know, advocate for an expedite
Yeah,
with our agency liaisons, but sometimes, you know, if you call us and say, hey, we see it here and here, you know, we might be able to just submit that for you and then try to follow up.
okay, but.
But, yeah, it's better to do it in real time as
Okay.
opposed to like, you know, once a month, just.
Thank
Marissa,
you.
was there something you were gonna say, Marissa?
Yeah, there was, as I was, sorry, it was from before, I was trying to finish about schools. I mentioned residential and businesses. I was about to say something else and then,
Okay.
the conversation got away from me, but for schools, send that, Khalid, you can send that directly to me, because we cannot give a ticket to DOE, obviously, if they're not putting their garbage out properly. City
Right.
agencies don't give summonses to other city agencies. So if you do see that at the school, if you can flag the school for me with the exact
Yes.
address, I'll send that over to our schools team so that they can talk with the custodial staff and talk with the principal, even if they have to, about how the material is being set out. So that was what I was trying to say before, but didn't get a chance to say.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Thank you, Marissa.
Michelle?
Hi, Marissa. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I wanted to find out, I mean, I have noticed that some restaurants have their receptacles overflowing. They have them, but they're overflowing. And as the time has gone on since the initiation of this project, I've noticed that they haven't been as overflowing as they have been. So it seems that it is working, and I really applaud that it to be able to reduce the rats in New York City and especially in East Harlem. Have you noticed has you gained any information from this project?
No, I'll be honest with you. We have a team that specifically does commercial waste, the Bureau of Commercial Waste. So I haven't heard from any businesses or any bids that are any which way of how they feel about it, but I'm happy to hear that you're seeing a difference. We can give a summons for a business if they have bins, you know, containers, but everything's overflowing or it's a big mess around there. Again, you can submit that through 311 or somehow let me know, and then we could follow up with that business and make sure if they don't know about the rule, if they're just not aware of it, we'll chat with them. We'll do education first, and then we'll reach out to enforcement.
Thank you. I've noticed that just by taking pictures of it, it changes how it looks the following day.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Marissa. And, you know, we really appreciate you joining our meeting and hope that you can attend every month. I know Parks is here every month and we're working with DEP and they should be here every month beginning next month. So just a lot of conversation and opportunities for collaboration. It's really helpful to have a representative from each of our city agencies here to help us out. So thank you so much for being here.
No worries. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. All right, moving along. Did she just leave? Really? Okay, yeah, the whole point is that we stay and collaborate for the whole meeting, so we'll continue to talk about this. But I did want to say that we've been talking to DEP starting with our site walk last week and let them know that we'd like them to be here every meeting. So I have a meeting with them on Monday of next week, and I'm going to continue to convey this so that we can have people here and, you know, supporting things like these grant applications that we're seeing from We Act and things to help weigh in and make things as successful as they can be. Okay. Let's move on to our parks advocacy groups. Are there any park advocacy groups who would like to give an informational update?
Yeah, just me, from Harlem Park, and the Friends of Art Park. 2025 marks the 40th year of the installation of the sculpture, growth sculpture. And one of the things that we'd like to do is to kind of have a big community celebration, because this is 40 years that this piece has been there. And in conversations with the artist, one of the things that he would like to see is maybe that the piece get painted, that it get cleaned, that it get kind of, updated in a way that not just with like slapping on some paint, because that's easy to do, but more of a treatment where it has the primer and it has the other stuff, so that we can get another 40 years out of it, right? And with that, then how does that cross over into the park? A lot of times when the cobblestones come up in the park, I'm told, hey, put them aside, and then you already know the story. And then what happens is, instead of putting back with the cement, they just patch up with black tar. So there's a lot of cobblestones that I've been collecting. I think I could build my own little thing. But I want to figure out if there's a way that we can kind of patch up and touch up, and then of course, look at the benches and maybe give them a paint job, because the benches are starting to get a little bit rusted. As well as the eyesore of the fence, but that's already on the list of things that we want to kind of, in the statement of needs, looking at what we could do with that fence. So hopefully June 28th of 2025, we're gonna have a big celebration for the 40th anniversary of this artwork. And that's about it.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Debbie? Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Are there any other parks advocacy groups here? Donna?
Yes, hi. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Donna from Randall's Island. We are gearing up for a very busy and exciting season. We are still working on finalizing some great festivals and music events, and like we have a lot of events that are coming back, like Curl Fest and Begondale and Pokemon Go. So we are finalizing our schedule, and we are very excited about that. I will share that with you once, like I said, once things are finalized, I will definitely share that with you. But we also have some really great opportunities at Randall's. We have some great volunteering opportunities that have already started, educational programs like the spring field trips to the Waterfront Stewardship Program and the Urban Farm will run from April 8th through June 14th. And the spring field trip registrations will open on Monday. Keep in mind, we also have summer camps. RIP is free summer camps for CBOs will run from July 8th through August 8th. Local CBOs who offer free programming are invited to register. And we are hosting 2 pre-camp info meetings for CBO representatives to attend. One is on Tuesday, February 27th from 3:30 to 5:30 at Icon Stadium on Randall's Island. And the other will be at the East Harlem Health Action Center on Thursday, the 29th of February, or March 7th from 3:30 to 5:30. I think they're trying to finalize that date there. And then just a couple of other items. We have a winter tree identification program set for February 10th from 9:30 to 12:30 at Icon Stadium. You need to register for that. We are celebrating Black History Month, Arts, Nature, and Wellness in Harlem, February 20th at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the East Harlem Health Action Center. Registration is not required. And we have an event called Let's Go Birding Together with New York City Autobahn, March 30th at 10 a.m. to 11:30. Again, Icon Stadium. Registration is not required. So we have a lot of exciting things coming up, a lot of festivals. And like I said, I know previously, Jessica, we spoke about Earth Day. I don't know if that's on the agenda tonight, but we would definitely love to collaborate with you folks. So we are available.
Great. Thank you so much, Donna. Did we want to talk about the HERC at all today?
It's on the,
Yeah.
it's under old business.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. So at the very end of the meeting, when we get to old business, we'll talk about the HERC a little bit and let everyone know what we've been talking about.
Jessica, I can talk about the Pelham.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
The Pelham Fritz Rec Center
Okay, great.
programming as well, since I don't see other parts going on. So we have a creative career residency for teens at the Pelham Fritz Rec Center. That's on Friday, February 2nd, tomorrow, on the 9th and 16th, and lastly 23rd from 4 to 5. There's also a Robert Williams solo piano concert on Saturday, February 3rd from 2 to 3 p.m. at the rec center. There is 3 fitness classes and activities. Yes, again, this is from Sunday, February 11th to February 17th. And that's it for Pelham Fritz Recreation Center.
Thank you, Tapashi. What was the first event again?
Creative Career Residency for Teens.
Thank you. Career residency for teens. Thank you. All right. Any questions for Parks or Randall's Island? Okay. Thank you, Tapashi. Thank you, Donna. We'll circle back to you at the end of the meeting. Are there?
Thank you, absolutely.
Thank you. Are there any other community-based organizations that would like to give an update? All right, we're going to move along. The first item on our agenda here is the committee review of the preliminary budget documents. So I'm actually going to share my screen if that's okay, Khalid. So what I figured we would do, talking to Khalid and Malik, is to just run through the responses to our requests. I know we have a lot, so I'm going to do it very quickly. And then to take a look at the statement from last year and then just agree on a sort of plan of attack so that Malik and I can update our statement for the 3 categories of our city agency partners and be able to get this submitted with the rest of the team for our statement. Go ahead.
This is, you have fiscal year 2024, you want 2025. This is 24.
Oh.
Here, use one of the attachments that, it's an attachment that I sent in, the meeting agenda note, the meeting agenda email notice that I sent out. They'll have fiscal year 2025.
24.
Hmm?
I printed the 24. I didn't see it.
24 ends, we're in fiscal year 2024 right now. So we want to look at the responses for our fiscal year 2025 budget requests, where the fiscal year for 25 starts July. And you want to look at the, or at least you're hopefully looking at the fiscal year 2024 preliminary budget response. And then the agency, the language that we have under those agencies that we collaborate with, you want to look at that language and based off of the mayor's commitment plan for fiscal year 2025, you want to say, okay, well, you know, we have these requests here and we believe that this is a specific concern or project that should get some attention to based off of our requests for
2020.
Yes, correct, right.
Thank you, Khalid, for saving me there.
No problem.
All right, the first 2 are not us. The first one for us is the Department of Sanitation, who left the call, not here to discuss it with us. Very disappointing.
Jessica, can you zoom in a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah, because my eyes are just not, it's not out.
Yeah, we have a big screen, remember, so it's a little bit.
Is that better?
That's much better, thank you.
Um, no alternative site has been identified to support the proposed action. She would have known if she stayed, but we actually have been in communication with IBO. They did a report for us. We just received it last week. We've been talking about it with leadership and the land use committee to see, what our response is to it. It was a little lackluster. Thought it would be a little bit more robust than it was, but we're providing feedback comments to them, and they're gonna take it from here. So essentially, what is normally $600+ million to redo a sanitation garage. Our district garage was in the tens of millions. So clearly not an equitable funding allocation provided to our district, and also clear that they have not fulfilled the points of agreement. So this is going to be part of the statement of district needs. I'm going to move along unless there's any comments. Oops, let me do this enough.
I just wanna make sure that everyone is clear, and that I'm clear. We're putting basically like a package together stating the good that we got from the responses, correct?
It could be the good or the bad. If the mayor's commitment plan does not address, or it,
So we can bring this up.
you can, yeah,
Okay.
you could also have no comment, it's
You don't have
entirely
to comment on everything.
correct. You can do that if you want, but based off of the mayor's commitment plan, you'll see, like, say, for example, as we had just discussed in our meeting, our small meeting, the Marcus Garvey Park and how it's going to be added to the national registry, right? So then you can note that, we've been consistently requesting for upgrades to the Acropolis or the lighting, and now that it's, fiscal year 2025, now it's going to be considered for this national registry selection. We should, consider funding and so forth. So that, yeah, you want to make sure your document is updated to reflect what's currently going on against the mayor's commitment plan and the budget allocated for fiscal year 2025. So yeah.
Okay, moving along, the next request was for Thomas Jefferson Park restrooms. The funds are insufficient. They recommend we bring it to the attention of our elected officials. They are moving forward, it sounds like, with the Portland Loo project. So we should be hearing more about that shortly. And we also are waiting to hear back from all the work that the Manhattan Borough President's Office is doing with the bathroom initiative. If that moves forward, we would be able to choose at least one place per zip code that would get a bathroom. So ongoing conversation with the parks about this location and the Harlem Greenway Link, future Richard Toussaint Park. The next one was for evaluate a public location for a property with green infrastructure on 106th Street corridor. This will be part of my recap of in old business. It's interesting that they say please contact the agency directly and promptly for more information, but they are actively applying for a grant here to help us out with that. And feel free to jump in at any time. I can't see y'all or the hands. So the next one, still going, is Peter Minuet Playground. As we noted, that was one of the CPI projects. It will move forward for funding, and one of the first things that they'll do is reach out to the school. They're going to do some sessions to get an idea of what the renovation should look like, whether or not, like, the community still wants handball courts, things like that. So we'll be hearing about that really quickly, but very exciting to see that move forward. The next one's River East Playground.
What playground?
River East Playground.
Oh, River East, okay.
So it says the Department of Parks and Recreation does not maintain this facility. Is that, I guess that's because it's a school playground.
That's 106?
On 20th,
But isn't
Yeah.
that the?
on 20th, on 21st, with a beacon, the beacon.
Oh,
the
oh, that's, okay.
The beacon, like that.
Wasn't that the one that they were saying Parks maintains the space that they use for the green space, like Is that the one where they're finding the needles and the
Find
feces?
them all over the place.
I think this is the one where they don't have any green space.
No, so, the beacon, power beacon center on 120th between First and Second.
Yeah.
So that big, it used to be a baseball field,
Yeah.
and now it's like,
Football.
Harlem, the Harlem Jets be
Football,
in there.
yeah.
And stuff like that. That's the area that they.
That's what they're talking.
Yeah,
Oh.
Didn't they just name a street after Ted Griffin, right?
I'm not.
Yeah,
The
we
kids
did.
play out there.
Where, I know there's a park space that they do play in. That they were mentioning.
Yeah, they just named the street after.
Okay, well, it sounds like what we need to do is figure out who maintains this area and I guess
It's-
address that to
But they
them.
saying, I think they saying Department of Education.
Yeah, they'll say
They need to-
DOE.
DOE
Okay,
needs,
oh, yes, there it is, okay.
because it's a school.
Right.
They see it's the school problem.
Yeah.
Push it to somebody.
Okay.
Good.
The next one is PS 155. The agency will try to accommodate this within existing resources. The next one is May Grant Playground, various repairs. Parks and Recreation funds are insufficient for this project. We recommend that it be brought to your attention of your elected officials.
The thing with that playground, it's really dangerous, the condition it's in right now.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's like the one out of a lot of these that I thought should be repaired. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, well, something we learned last, I guess this past year, was that Parks is one of the only agencies that doesn't get like a budget. So it's just like, it's not the same, I guess, as the other city agencies. So they make requests specifically for these renovations, and we were in complete alignment submitting all of these things. It's just we have a lot of need and of course not a lot of resources. So I guess the idea is to take the win where we can get it, but that's not always, the only answer. So we'll continue to advocate for parks and their funding so that we can get these things funded.
It's also one of the fewest parks that's in the projects that, that Parks is responsible for.
Yeah, there's Black Rock.
Yeah. Jewel?
So, I just want to Ashley's point is that, if it's like a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Added to this narrative, we should highlight that. If you're saying it's like a tripping hazard and.
It's a tripping hazard, it's
Garbage,
falling apart, there's garbage
Dog
everywhere.
place.
It's
Well, yeah, it's
disgusting,
I mean,
yeah,
so,
we have to stop going there.
It's just a mess.
Yes, I mean, that's, should be part of the narrative.
And also, it's one of the nicest playgrounds within that area, like in terms of like,
The
I
only
mean,
area,
even though it's breaking apart,
Yeah.
but like our options are white playground or that.
yeah, White Park, well, that's because they call
And
it
white
Black
park,
Park.
everyone's there.
Yeah, but Black Park, May Grant Park, that's the one that's on Madison.
Yeah, that's the one between Madison and Park.
Yeah, so there's like really nothing else,
Yeah.
unless you go to Hobbs on 108. But then that's a whole nother story over there.
Yeah, we'll be sure. I think what we'll do is outline some of the parks that didn't receive any funding, and like we've made really great notes about what we think is, important, so we can highlight specifically the safety concerns and like, things that need immediate attention or that might be able to be funded outside of like larger investments. Does that work?
Yeah, just one more thing, there's also like a lot of community events I see be held in there by, I'm pretty sure that's Clinton, yeah, by Clinton, within there for the community.
Yeah.
And I think the basketball court was repaired a few years ago.
Yeah, it
but that
was,
through,
they
like,
had a whole
grant.
Looney Tunes
It was like a
type of
grant,
thing,
yeah. But yeah, so.
Which
I
is a
think it's like
shame.
one part is nice and then the other part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Um,
Okay, the next one was Blake Hobbs Playground. Again, funds are insufficient, bring it to the attention of your elected official. The next one is Cherry Tree Park, funds
Larry
are insufficient. Please bring it to the attention of your elected officials. The next one was Each One Teach One Playground, for the lighting issues and rat populations, they'll accommodate this within existing resources. The next one was Alice Cornegay Triangle, full renovation, insufficient funds, bring us to the attention of your elected officials. The next one is Eugene McCabe Field. The agency will try to accommodate this within existing resources. The next was Wagner Playground. Further study is needed by the agency. Interesting that that's a different,
That's a whole different animal.
yeah, okay. The next one's Poor Richard's Playground. Funds are insufficient, bring it to the attention of elected officials. Let's see. The next one is sanitation, provide more on-street trash cans and recycling. High-end litter baskets are sponsored by elected officials, businesses, community groups, etc. That is not a good enough answer for me personally. Okay, the next one is still going. Oops. Past a page. Sorry, it's really hard to do this. Okay, the next one was plant new street trees with parks. The agency will try to accommodate this within existing resources. And I believe that is it on the expense budget, priorities and requests.
Question.
Any other comments?
I have a question or a comment. So I think last year when our borough president made a big speech about trees and new trees and all of this, so whatever happened with that? And because that's part of our, part of that. I mean, you recall that, right?
The mayor's campaign,
Million more trees, yeah.
I'm not specifically about what he specifically said. I'm just, you know.
The Million More Trees
Okay,
campaign.
well.
Yes, yes.
Well, and then, you know, if you're gonna stand up there and make this big pronouncement about it, and then, you know, we're gonna do this for East Harlem, then, you know, what happened to that?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what, you know.
we can follow up with them and ask where they are with their campaign. We can ask.
Donna? Donna?
Yes, hi. You know, I'd really like to be able to help you folks with some of these, I mean, I can't, you know, raise funds, but you're mentioning that there's a lot of issues and dog waste or, you know, bad situations in some of these parks. And prior to me joining Randall's Island as deputy administrator, I used to run Manhattan operations. So if you have any issues that or concerns, once again, immediately call it into 311, download the app. It's the fastest way it's going to get to us because I used to, all the 311s from Manhattan used to come through me in that position. But if I know what your concerns are, I will immediately reach out to the managers to address it. We do not, I mean, we have eyes on the ground, we have our staff out there. And yes, there are things that we're going to miss. And that's when we kind of count on the community. If you're noticing things, please, I would like to be able to help you with that so that we're not so frustrated when we see things going on in our parks and we don't know, you know, who can address it or who we should speak to. I can be your liaison for that. Just either shoot me an email or Jessica, however you want to do it, if it should go through you. And but I can definitely help you out with that as best I can.
Thank you, Donna. Would it help if I could send you this document, for example, and we could highlight all of the parks requests? It's pretty descriptive feedback from all of our parks tours last summer. If that would be a helpful starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Like I said, any of the issues, with the exception of funding.
Okay.
It's above my pay grade. I know it's all about Steve Simon. He's the man. He's the best person with whom to speak about any kind of funding and things like that. But in any other capacity I can help you folks, I am here for you.
Thank you. David?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say that is the issue, funding. That's what it seems like most of your concerns was in regards to reaching out to your local representatives, that is a funding issue. As far as a couple of the concerns I heard that you mentioned, yeah, we do get the 311s, and the staff is addressing them as we've spoken in the past about, like, for example, the dog waste. That is like a real recurring chronic issue within the community that we've all know the history behind. We clean and mess the dog waste, and some owners deliberately allow their dogs to do it and refuse to curb their dog. We've had this discussion hundreds of times. You did mention something that I heard about the lights at each one teach one. Those lights are working. Last time I was there, I was just wondering, how old are some of these concerns that you were discussing that I heard you mention? Because those lights been working for a while. So I heard a couple other things that was like, when did this happen? You know?
Right.
You
This
know,
was over
but-
the summer, when we did those parks tours together. Malik, can you confirm if the lighting at each one teach one is?
I don't know, but I'll check once we leave here, though.
Okay.
I'll be the first one to text you, Dave.
Yeah, I have Steve mentioned it to me, and I sent it, and ironically enough, I was in the neighborhood and I forwarded Steve the picture of the lights on.
So you have to understand, this was
Yeah,
in our
yeah, this-
budget months ago, so
Yeah.
it's not like we're just going over what's here. That's what I want you to know, so
Right,
this is.
I know that. Just that when Donna mentioned that, I just didn't want, I wanted her to understand because I
But
know
you
you
doing
guys
your
are talking
job,
about stuff. Right. So we are on top of some of these things, and like I said, the only thing that threw me off was the lights. I didn't, all other stuff. I know you guys talk about stuff in the past, but the
Yeah.
light thing, that's what threw me off, because I'm like, hey, I saw those lights on the other day.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
follow up with that. But
Okay,
David,
all right.
we know you've been a great partner. You were there with us walking a
Right,
lot of those,
right,
those
yes,
tours. So
yes.
thank you. We
All
appreciate
right,
you.
no problem. I'm still on the call, just listening. No
Thank you
problem.
so much. That's
All right.
all we ask.
All right.
All right. Anything else, Malik, before I move on?
No, yes, actually. So do you think our next move right now is to, I guess, bundle up, the non-responses that we have that, as far as what our needs as far as budgeting is concerned? Is that one talking point we can, kind of like talk about in a bundle, or you wanted to like talk about those separately? Cause we could just talk about them and then highlight the like specific code that, so that they can have a reference to.
Right. So I think, and Khalid, correct us if we're wrong, but I think we don't need to take a vote this evening. I think all we need to do is agree with a plan of attack for this, updating these paragraphs as it relates to the specific city agencies that we're touching.
Right, because excuse me, we're not expecting you guys to have, completed a whole draft for these, paragraphs, but yeah, you can, of course, decide as a committee to, work on these items until we have to submit it to the district needs and budget committee for later this month. So if you want to create an open document, like on the board members' shared drive.
Yeah.
And, your portions for your agency responses, you can opt to do that.
Okay, and to Malik's point, I think we list all the tracking codes and we just, so I think what I'll do is I'll start a Google document with our 3 DEP, DSNY, and parks. And I think with DEP, we just talk about, the importance of continuing that sort of, resilience funding and grant applications and things to get, dedicated funding to action projects in our neighborhood like they're trying to do right now. And then for parks, it's, thank you for, helping us advocate for the projects that did get funded. We look forward to the completion, blah, blah, blah. But then, we also feel that attention is needed with these other parks that have not received any funding or are using existing resources. And we can list out like our major concerns for some of those parks. And and those tracking codes. And then for sanitation, I think it's just general disappointment generally of their lack of fulfilling the commitments and you know, things like that. So that generally is what I was planning on doing and Malik and I had talked about. So does anyone have any thoughts or questions or comments on that process?
Jules? So just for my point of clarification, when they say in their comments, reach out to your elected officials, do we specifically reach out to Diana Ayala indicating blah, 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 or Senator Serrano, whomever, whatever? Do we do that? Like
Yes.
a letter for this specific need and, and then wait for the response from Diana Ayala, other
We-
elected?
We have meetings with them actually, like directly with Diana, we had a meeting and we talked through, the ones that we needed council member funding for example. Khalid, do you have any flavor to add to that?
No, I mean, that's a committee task, right? That's a committee task to compile your notes and the responses and say, we should compile some correspondence for each of these, suggestions from OMB and make the inquiry with those city agencies, so.
So, this is my next thing is, so the response was.
Wait, can I help clarify that for you? When Park says reach out to your elected officials, the city council is essentially, putting together the budget. They're asking us they're not saying they won't do it, they're saying, we need you to push your council people to direct funding towards these particular projects. And that really is up to not just us, but the entire community to be reaching out to their elected officials. Parks Department can go to them and say, we need funding for these projects, and they're gonna do it citywide, not just with one neighborhood. So in order for our council person to know what to really advocate for and to fight for in that city budgeting process, we have to encourage.
So, I realize all that. My thing is this, when there's a response from Diana Ayala, I'd like to see that response. That's all I'm getting at. And in these, I realize these meetings take place and I'm gonna say, can a member of the committee attend those as well? Because, we talk about these meetings. I'm not saying they don't happen, but I would like to be there, and I'd like to get that response. And if she's saying, okay, do A, B, and C in order to get D, we do A, B, and C in order to get D.
Yeah. I mean, the last meeting we had with Diana was, it was the chair of district needs and budgets, Angel, myself and Xavier. And I believe George Janes may have been on a handful of them, but then all of Diana and her, support. So it's a pretty small call, honestly. And there's no, I mean, Xavier's on the call. I don't know if Xavier wants to add anything to this conversation.
That was the comment.
But that was great though, that's, you know what I mean, like.
And, just to let you know, I'm sorry. I am part of a separate coalition. We actually reached out specifically to Diana Ayala about litter baskets. There was about 5 of us, and I spoke directly to Diana Ayala about litter baskets. You know what Diana Ayala said? When we talk about litter baskets, we can talk about, that they get, city council people get funding and they use the funding.
The discretionary.
She'll bring up that Ben Kalos, received all this, he got litter baskets galore south of 96th Street, because that's what he used those funds for. And she said to us that the funds were, directed elsewhere. I mean, so it's a matter of equity as well, but, if you go down south of 96th Street, you'll see a probably litter basket on every corner, because the former councilperson, Ben Kalos, used the funds for litter baskets. It might be a small thing for people to hear, but that's one thing that this coalition and I went to her and we spoke directly to Diana Ayala, but just FYI. But, thank you.
Well, I think the issue is that, like, they wanna hear from us, but then they they hear from a limited amount of people.
Right.
And the issue is, what probably needs to happen is a mobilization of community residents and other folks to kind of follow us up. Like, okay, you have that meeting, and then another wave of people come and say the same thing. And a way to think about doing that is maybe connecting it to another committee, like the youth committee, to say, we're gonna be doing this and following up, so that then you can recruit people, young people, to get involved with breaking down the barriers and the hierarchy between us and the elected officials.
I mean, I would also say this, you know, funding, I mean, is scarce, so like, to try to, separate it or divide it up is always a hard choice, right? And, you know, your problem is not someone else's problem, it might not be, you know, as important to other people, and not to say we don't need it, but maybe she might need some time, so maybe you need to continue the advocacy of it, so that maybe next time.
Yep.
I'm just saying, because it might not happen this year, but next year maybe.
But if I can finish,
Guys,
But-
before we,
let me just say, if I could finish, right, I work for the state, right? I work for the AIDS Institute. And we're going to be kicking into Valentine's Day week, right? Valentine's Day week is an annual activity where they go up to Albany and they advocate for AIDS funding. They've been doing this for like 25 years. And because they do an annual educational, because it's not lobbying, but you know, it's an educational event, they bring in consumers, they bring in folks that are impacted. And as a result of that constant presence, that's an annual event, you know, we've got like serious funding. You know, where it's like, okay, we can't do anything major, but here's maybe $1 million to start off a pilot. You know, so it's kind of like, how do you navigate that process at the local level? Because, you know, you get up to Albany and they're so happy that you're up there, they take a picture, right? When they're right on the corner. So if you kind of empower folks to, you know, feel comfortable to go there, then it scares them into doing something.
before anyone else jumps in, I'm gonna move to Xavier and then we can continue the conversation.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. One of the things I wanted to raise is with the sanitation garage. It's part of our rezoning and our points of agreement. The response coming back, and we can shed more light on this, was this to indicate that the stakeholders, implying the community board, was not aligned on alternative sites, when in fact nothing could be further from the truth. I think having gone on tours, to identify where we have the temporary garage, it's patently obvious we have other locations. We've worked with our land use consultant George James and have identified proposed locations. There's just not enough movement for whatever reason to make it a priority for the community. To Debbie Quinones' point about mobilization, I agree. It's we say like one person raising an issue is just one person. 5 people calling in, that's an agenda item. 10's a meeting, and 20 is an issue to take seriously. And I think that part of what we found difficulty with is in the COVID period of time, we've not been able to really mobilize as actively. People do want to see change, but we're really having to bear an unfair weight at this point in time. I think with the sanitation garage, that's something we should not give up that fight whatsoever. With the baskets and sanitation in general, for those who are either listening in, and I'm probably preaching the choir, the young lords piled trash out on the avenues because we weren't getting the attention. Again, talking to the mobilization aspect. I think when it comes to appropriations, there has been shifts back and forth across the river because there are 2 parts of the district that are in great need. And I would implore on everyone here that it takes all of us to live together. We're all community leaders in East Harlem, and we all know people who can activate and show up and write in. Again, we get funding from various sources. So I would say in the commentary first, you know, the sanitation garage, that's something we need to address, and we will be dealing with that with the IBO feedback. But every single one of these comments we need to highlight because resources are going to be cap down very soon, given the other issues this city is facing. So thank you very much for your attention to detail of the matter. Thank you. And to pass it back to you, Jess.
Great. Thanks, Xavier. Are there any final comments? It sounds like the plan is we'll circulate a Google document, we'll refine our language, we'll include the budget requests and highlight any major issues of parks that have not been funded for refurbishing. Any comments? Okay. Alrighty, thank you all. I know we've been working with the Office of Management and Budget too to help make this process a little bit more realistic and fruitful across the board. So hopefully we see changes being made year to year that make this a worthwhile effort, and we're not just getting the same responses over and over again. So just so that you all know, we've been working on that, and we're gonna kick them into gear. Moving into our old business, the first item is the We Act bus shelter proposal. Did everyone get a chance to review that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Are there any questions or comments, or would anyone like to make a motion? Michelle?
I would like to make a motion to have the bus stops with the green space on top.
So are you supporting their proposal?
I am supporting their proposal.
Okay.
Can that be stated more clearly for the record, please? The motion?
Yes. Motion, I'm gonna repeat your motion, Michelle. Motion to support the Green Eco Bus Shelter proposal from We Act.
Oh yeah, that's better said.
Okay, does that work?
Asher has their hand raised.
Asher, go ahead.
Second it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Any present, no voting.
Okay, that was Debbie.
No, I'm good.
She just trying, no, she,
Nothing.
nothing, you move forward.
No, I'm just fine.
So it was seconded by Asher and passed unanimously. Is that what I heard?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm doing my best over here. Thank you, everyone. The next thing on our old business was the Harlem Blue Ways site tour debrief. Thankfully, Russell was able to be there. I almost was unable to be there as I got called for jury duty, which was the worst. But I had to postpone it because I couldn't do it for multiple days in a row, and that allowed me to reattend this this tour. But sorry, I'm doing this out of order. Oh well. The tour was with the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, DEP, Parks. DOT was supposed to be there, but apparently they all got COVID, and there was no representation from DOT, which I thought was unfortunate because I feel like they're they're the owners of the streets, and a lot of this stuff has to do with the streets. So I was really missing their input. Star White House was there, and all of this was based off of their sort of vision plan for a resilient East Harlem that we talked about years ago at this point. So the grant proposal is like in 4 parts, and they're submitting it, I believe, on the 15th of this month. But they're using our request from the district budget process for the East 106th Street corridor as support, generally for that portion of the work. But essentially there is it would be that sorry, the road coming down to Central Park North, that's Lennox, right? I can't remember the name of the road.
Central Park North is Lennox.
Lennox, thank you. So that road would be regraded, and there would be, a sort of collection of water that would be running towards the mirror. So there would be investigations into short and long-term, flood retention abilities on that street. It's got wide boulevard, it's got large sidewalks, so they're gonna look into what's possible there. And then routing that water into the Mere, which it's already part of a hydrologic system, I guess, with the natural waterway, and then the park there, I'm so sorry, I'm sick. The gardens, the conservatory gardens, thank you. And then, so it's work around the Mere that affects both Central Harlem and East Harlem drainage abilities. And then there's a third piece that has to do with the, basically a feasibility study on 106th Street. So that would get us to about design development in terms of funding, and then there would need to be additional funding for the finishing of the design and the execution of that work. But it was a great meeting. I think it was great that they were listening. It's great that we're talking about these things that, you know, I think it was like 2 years ago they said, or maybe it was 4 years ago at this point, they said none of this stuff is possible, none of this stuff will even be considered, and now they're, you know, not only considering it, they're attempting to move it forward. So it was just great. Any questions on all that? Okay.
That's where they're gonna narrow the pool, right?
So the Lasker rink,
Oscar Way.
yeah, it's part of the Mere project, but it's the reason why they were doing that was to help restore one of the natural waterways there. So it
Right.
plays a role, but it's not, you know, it's not about that pool necessarily.
Okay, so
Yep. All right, I'm gonna move along to the proposed name change of Negro Point on Wards Island. There was a document, I'm gonna share my screen one more time on. Thank you, Colleen. Okay. So Dr. Snyder, who had attended our meeting back in the day when we first talked about this, had not had time to do research for us at that time, but thankfully he was able to do some research over the last couple of months. So he had curated it into this document, which I circulated to you all. So he was trying to help us think about Black mariners that were prominent members of the African American community in New York City, in order to consider a name change from Negro Point. The proposed name change is Tanakis Point, which is a Native American word. When Dr. Snyder came to our meeting originally, he had said that, you know, in his view as a historian, that Tanakis Point is fine, but that, you know, there's opportunities to recognize Black history in this name change, especially considering the original name of this, which was a sort of blanket name that the national government had sort of used across a lot of probably sometimes derogatory names of these kinds of points. So Dr. Schneider had recommended 3 options based on 3 Black mariners. So the first is Molzac Point, named for Hugh Molzac, an immigrant to the United States from the West Indies and the first Black man to command a ship in the United States Merchant Marine. His career was limited by racial discrimination in the 1950s. Okay, yeah, so you all have this document. The second option was Powell Point, named for William P. Powell, who is a Black abolitionist who ran the Colored Seamen's Boarding House in Manhattan, which sheltered Blacks fleeing from slavery. Powell helped organize the Committee of 13, which assisted Black freedom seekers in New York. And then the third option that he suggested was Ruggles Point, named for David Ruggles, a Black sailor, abolitionist, writer, and publisher. He grew up in Norwalk, Connecticut, worked briefly as a sailor, then settled in New York and became a prominent abolitionist. He ran a grocery store, opened a bookstore, served both abolitionists and Black New Yorkers until the mob destroyed it. He wrote pamphlets and organized the first magazine for Black Americans, The Mirror of Liberty, and was a leader in the New York Vigilance Committee. I know that, you know, there is no deadline on this necessarily, and I don't want to like rush to make a decision, but there's kind of like a couple options here. So option one is that we don't have an opinion and we just choose not to comment on this, which I think, I'm not necessarily a fan of that idea. The second option is that we, choose to agree with the renaming proposed by, originally when we talked about this, which was Tanaka's Point, or C, that we pick, either a name on this list or work to just, come up with another suggestion as a community board. Are there any strong opinions from anyone on the committee on this topic?
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I feel like the doctor did his due diligence and homework on 3 different candidates. I think, we can, I wouldn't mind choosing from the 3 personally. But I feel like everyone has to be on the same page.
I agree with you. I think we should choose one of the names from the list. For what, for the same reason you said, this man put a lot of time and effort into coming up with 3 very good suggestions. I think it would be hard to choose one of the 3.
I like the first one.
But I do lean towards one. I don't know, maybe.
Me too, yeah, I just said that.
But and actually, if any one was chosen, I think I would be very happy with any one of the suggestions.
Which one do you lean on?
I lean towards the first person because I
Me too.
thought it was more relative to that
Maritime.
particular site.
And maritime stuff.
Also just within the neighborhood also, so.
My only question is, in terms of, communications with native nations. There was a big concern about FDR Drive and, where will the Lenape presentation, where representation was going to be within that project. So I think that there's either or, but I'm just wondering if has he talked to any of the native nations and kind of worked with them? Because they may support the other name.
Right.
Well, they do support the other name
Well, I'm saying,
because
did he talk to other, Native American, like native councils or anything like that? To change it from the Tanaka's to the other name?
So the application right now is for a different individual who we have not spoken with, who submitted a request to the US Board of Geographic Names to have Negro Point changed to, I think it's actually Tencanas Point.
Tencanas Point.
Tencanas Point. Because that was the original Native American name, so we can assume, because we did submit, or at least I provided documentation to you guys when this was first brought up, and in that packet, he may have, I don't know if he did, but he may have, gotten, some advice from, local or native tribes persons, but.
Yeah, I think for me, I support both. I lean towards one. But I just would wanna be comprehensive and I don't know.
I
Yeah,
have
I hear you.
feelings about it, just in general, like I think either one I would be fine with. But it is important to acknowledge like the actual history from there of that specific thing.
Yeah.
Michelle has her hand raised,
Yes, thank you. I'll go to Michelle.
Thank you. The whole island, Ward's Island was the name of the Native American name that has been proposed that I'm not going to try and pronounce right now. And then there was a playground that was near that area that was also going to be named the Native American name that was proposed.
Oh.
So I think I want to have the Lenape people represented, but to name the playground and have I think it's gonna be a little redundant. And that is why personally, I like the three choices that were proposed. And I would like to choose out of those three, and specifically, I'm leaning towards the Maritime person, being that he was the first in the country, and also that it pertains to what that area, it pertains to seagoing people.
Right, so that's the first one?
They're all maritime individuals. Do you mean the first one, Michelle? Hugh Molzak? Do you mean that one?
I cannot see it. He was from the West Indies.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I would be comfortable with, the more diversity, the better, right? So if you have a playground named after that honors some of the native presence, I would support, the renaming of it after the first one.
So-
That's not, do you understand what you just said?
I'm tired, I'm really tired, I'm
I think
sorry.
you know.
candy.
Yeah, I need some sugar, I'm
Can I,
sorry.
can I ask, for clarification of what you just said?
No, cause I don't even know, forget it.
Well, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I think, so Rob could not make our meeting today. I think maybe he might be able to make our meeting next month, but I think at the very least I can reach out to him and let him know what we've been discussing, and that we had a question about the Native American name, and that will give us, one more month just to feel
Okay.
confident about our choice here. If we're leaning Molzak Point, great. Then we can make that decision next month. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
I mean, I would,
I like most of it.
I do too, and I would, I'll just withdraw the whole discussion and go with the first one. I
withdraws her motion.
Yeah, like just withdraw everything.
Wait,
just go.
wait. Can I ask, so that, put it to a decision that we are comfortable with the three choices that were chosen for us, and so that we would make a decision upon those three choices for next month?
So
Yeah,
you
we-
wanna table this item? Michelle, is that what you're asking?
But I wanna table it, but have it specific, a specific table, instead of going out and finding other names to narrow it down to these three names.
We're not changing the name. What Jessica was saying, that the guy Richard, who did all the research for him to come in and explain himself. He wasn't able to come this month.
Okay, so we'll just,
So she was saying, let him come next month,
okay,
so that he can explain the three names and how he went about it, etc.
Right,
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just saying that instead of us, so that we say that we agree on these three names, and that we would choose out of these three names when Richard comes.
We're complicating this a little bit.
we are,
Just-
that's why I'm saying I'm just withdrawing the
What
whole
was
thing.
being said is we like these three names, we'll wait for the guy to come and explain them.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Exactly what I'm saying.
All right, everyone.
Yes, we
with the
accept them.
We're all at
crosstalk,
the same
please
point.
stop with the crosstalk. Thank you.
Sorry.
And
Please
we'll vote
stop
on the
with
name.
the crosstalk. Thank you. Okay, so
Sorry.
we'll go ahead and I will reach out to Rob Snyder, and we will
In the meantime.
see if he can come to our meeting next month. And regardless of whether he can be there or not, I'll let him know that we're grateful for his research and looking forward, to getting more information if possible. But I think if not, we'll be able to take a position in the next month.
I don't think,
Amen.
Yes,
I don't think there's much more information we can get out of them.
yeah, sure.
I think we should just vote.
He presented.
Yes, he did. He did.
I think we should just go with it and just vote with the first one
Get it out of the way already.
and get it and just dead it.
You guys have the opportunity, of course, to lay a motion on the floor at any point in time. Just ask the chair.
Yes.
Ask the chair for the floor and say, may I place,
Yeah.
on the floor, and just pick a name or
Or
decline.
kick it down the line.
We have a raised hand.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, motion to
Votes.
vote on the name I don't have it up there anymore, it's the first one.
From replacing Miguel Point.
Sorry, can you
Let me,
read that
let me
back?
share my screen again, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I don't have it.
It's there, proposed name change of.
No, I don't have, I don't have
The actual name.
Hugh Molzak,
Molzac Point.
What was that point, Brian?
Alright,
It's got a nice.
Mozac Point.
What was that?
Alright, let
Second.
me finish with it, now I gotta say it again.
Yes, say it properly.
Alright,
Say it properly.
motion to change the name of Negro Point to suggest changing the name of Negro Point to Mozac Point
Second.
on Ward's Island.
Oh.
Who seconded?
Rosa.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, any abstentions? All right, the motion carries unanimously. And was,
Sorry,
It's a
I just went deep.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
all right. Yep, thank you to Dr. Schneider for his time and effort. I will pass that along to him via email. He also sent a book, which if you're in the office, it's in my my mailbox. If anyone would like to take it or borrow it, feel free. Okay, moving on to our next item on the agenda is Earth Day delegation. I think we decided last month that we wanted to do more of a fair on the patio and use the auditorium space as the indoor area as a backup. I think Rosa, you had reached out as someone willing to help. I basically, all I'm gonna do is ask for a subcommittee to be formed so that we can have weekly meetings about this and get it moving. So who would like to be a part of the subcommittee? Rosa. Debbie, I can't see you.
Asher and David.
Okay, great.
Yay.
I'll still chime in, but I don't wanna be.
So maybe just-
I hear you, Malik. You're doing your own work with the
But just, just let me know, and I'll be there, but don't, hold me to it, okay?
okay, no worries.
I don't wanna get reprimanded.
I'm already,
I don't make it.
I have a feeling I'm already.
The mic is picking up everybody, just wanna.
Sorry. We were
It's really
just-
hard to hear, so.
Well, what we were saying was that with the committee, that if they're gonna start meeting, that they should meet maybe the last week of the month, so that then they can come to this committee and give updates.
She said once a week.
Yeah,
I
once
get
a
it. Oh, once a
That's what we
week.
did last year.
What are you talking about?
maybe once every other week. How about every other week?
Okay, she's tired.
I need vacation.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
like.
We're almost
You ain't
there.
No cola, no sugar.
Literally on the last thing.
Okay, so the last thing is actually going to be for next month. So the last thing was a new business item to initiate its initiative to nominate Marcus Garvey Park to the National Register of Historic Places. We were contacted about this and they're actually going to present to land use this month and our committee next month. So we'll continue this conversation next month. Is there anything that anyone is aware of about this effort that they'd like to bring up?
I'll just mention that the Harlem Fire Watchtower is already on the National Register of Historic Places. It sits on the Acropolis. I think we need their presentation to clarify, I mean, normally this would not go directly to the federal government. It would go through the State Historic Preservation Office first. So that was my question about this. I'm glad they're presenting. This is also, Marcus Garvey Park is in East Harlem. And we have 3 Central Harlem organizations nominating the park. I think that at the very least, they should reach out to Landmark East Harlem or someone in East Harlem to be involved in this project.
Okay, Michelle, really quickly.
Would the nomination for this national registry provide money for Marcus Garvey Park?
Yes, it's money provided to this process, not to the park necessarily.
It opens up the park to federal grants.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to our last item of business is the Randall's Island Park Alliance PERC discussion. Donna, do you want to fill us in on this one?
Yes, we had a meeting last week with the powers that be and actually over at the Herc facility, which, as you know, is run by Health and Hospitals. There's been some issues going on over there that NYPD is very much involved as well as our own park enforcement. Everybody's working very diligently to keep the area safe. Excuse me, to keep the area safe, not only for the asylum seekers, but also for the public and the patrons. They have since, NYPD 25th Precinct has since added, I want to say, an additional 4 cop cars there. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm just getting over a cold too. I want to say that they've added an additional 4 cop cars with 2 police in each that are stationed there continuously, as well as our own PEP officers. As you know, we have no idea how long this facility is going to be there. We've not gotten an answer on that, and I don't think there really is an answer forthcoming anytime soon. Oh, excuse me. Again, it's 3,000 people. They after 30 days, they kind of time out and have to go back and get on a wait list to be reassigned somewhere. And unfortunately, there's really nowhere for them to go. So we see a lot of the presence that the asylum seekers that have been, maxed out of the system, they're still kind of on Randall's Island. So we're trying to manage all of that. Excuse me. Yeah, so right now there is no talk of removing the facility at all.
And Donna, I guess what we've talked about it, there were a few incidents that had occurred that were potentially not great incidents. It was a rough couple of weeks for Randall's Island Park Alliance, and there was a request from the chairs of the board for basically a petition to support the removal of the Herc. Is that correct?
Yes, there is a petition that's out there that was sent out by our president, Deborah Marr. And they've gotten a lot of signatures so far. People are sympathetic and we want to support the mayor in this initiative. But I think too, we've had 4 fields removed. Oh my gosh, saying I'm about to be signed out. Hold on one second. Yeah, there's the petition if you'd like to sign it. So they're really trying to reclaim, Randall's Island is really trying to reclaim that parkland and give it back to the park patrons. And but I guess they feel it's just not a good situation, a good long-term situation to have this Herc facility here. So yeah, they're trying to work on that. I know that they've also met with City Hall and again, with the mayor's office, of course, and there's just no end date in sight. And yes, there have been some incidences, and that's why we have a greater presence of NYPD continuously stationed there. A lot of these incidents occur on the Herc facility site. So it's not like people are going after our patrons and that kind of thing. There's some things going on amongst themselves. And we're kind of on the outskirts of that. We almost hear about it when, a couple of weeks ago, there were helicopters and things like that. We're not made aware of this immediately as far as what's going on in that facility. So sometimes we hear about it when you hear about it.
Right.
But like I said, we are doing our best to maintain that area, to try to keep everyone safe, especially our park patrons and our staff. NYPD is doing a terrific job as always, as well as our parks enforcement.
So Donna, I guess is the question to the community board. Oh, I think we lost her. And maybe Xavier, this question is a little bit for you. I guess the options are that we can have people choose to, you know, support the petition as individual members of the community, or we can seek to take a position as a community board. And you know, given our process, I'm not sure that, you know, whether we would want to take a position right now, or if we might want to, you know, carry this to executive. What do you think?
So to chime in, a couple clarifying questions. And first, thank you for being here to elevate this to our attention.
I think
How many
Donna
people?
off the call, unfortunately.
She's not here right now.
Okay, all right. So, well, then we'll just go straight in. There's nothing that is individuals precludes you from signing on to this petition if you so choose as individuals. To be speaking on behalf of the board, we'd obviously have to take a position. If this committee wants to have a discussion on the merits of what's been raised and your remit, environment, open space, and parks, then that's something that should be addressed. And then that information, that discussion, if there is a position, if any taken, can be furthered at executive committee. Having been to the location multiple times, there are some definite issues that have been raised by people of East River houses and other surrounding developments who use the 103rd Street bridge when it comes to public safety. So obviously those issues can be brought up at that committee and the executive. I think to the grounds of anyone who's gone to see the conditions and whatnot, I think what was supposed to be temporary is appearing more permanent at this moment. However, how do we address this matter for the needs of the district, the needs of the city, and the needs of the state as we exist within the confines of the federal regulations? So these are I would welcome the conversation. I'd be curious to know how many people have signed up for the petition thus far, and then we can further that conversation at executive. So, but it'd be good to get initial thoughts out at this committee.
1,726
Signatures.
signatures.
Thank you very much, Mike, for providing that.
For
The thing
me,
about these petitions is that you don't know where they're from.
yeah, exactly. I think for me personally, and Donna's back on, she's connecting to audio. I think obviously like Randall's Island has been a huge, you know, friend and partner of the community board, and ideally we would support them and their wishes to at least understand when the deadline is, and to, you know, assist in making sure that the park is safe. And my only concern is the sort of, you know, it leaning into anti-immigrant sentiment, which I don't feel like it would necessarily do, but just want to make sure that we steer clear of that as much as possible. But please feel free to weigh in committee with your initial thoughts.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Malik.
Is Donna back?
Yes, she's back. Hey, Donna, can you hear us?
She might be able to, but it doesn't say that her audio is connected.
Oh,
Just FYI.
so maybe I'll just send the email. I can say it for us, but my basic question was, if the migrants are staying, if it doesn't work and we can't move them, what would be the plan for Randall's Island if they don't have a plan for the summertime when the increase of volume and use of Randall's Island, you know, what would be the plan of making sure that it's safe there and making sure that the pedestrians and the participants of that park, you know, aren't in danger, you know, pretty much to say. So I kind of want to know that if she's not able to do that now, I just want them to make sure, to be in light of that, to have a plan and start that process now for the future.
I just put your question in the chat 'cause she's typing, so I just to see if she can respond to that.
Mhm.
In the meantime, are there any other questions or comments?
I wanna know, like, when NYPD comes in, where are these family taken to?
If they're arrested?
No, because they want to remove them from Randall's Island, so
Oh.
like, where are they put?
As far as I understand, I don't believe there are any families at this location. I think it's all adults.
There's no kids there, it's just adults.
Just single adults or
I believe so.
adult families? Okay.
That's what let me check my notes from our meeting with Donna the other day.
My understanding is that single adults, predominantly the majority are men.
Michelle has her hand raised.
Michelle, go ahead.
Additionally, it was set up for single adult men. However, since there's such an influx of migrants to the city and it keeps doubling, they will ultimately change how they've set things up. And my concern is, where are all these people going to go if all of these, and I put in quotation, temporary shelters are dismantled?
I think that's the problem is Randall's Island Park Alliance doesn't know, and I don't think the city knows, and I don't think there is a good solution for where anyone would go.
I think before
Yeah, hi,
we
Jessica,
shut
I'm
things
back. I'm
down, I
sorry
think
thank
it's
you, Donna.
important.
Donna, we have a couple questions for you. I'm going to go down the list. The first one was if from Malik, if the HERC facility is not working and we can't move them, what is the plan for the summertime when there will be an increase in the volume and use at Randall's Island?
Well, that's exactly what we're concerned about right now. We are doing the best we can as far as the field. We are just hoping that they don't plan on expanding. But right now we are trying to work the island as if the HERC facility isn't going to go anywhere. And we're going to have to make some adjustments in that area because of the amount of people that are there. There's 3,000 as it is occupants, asylum seekers that are currently in that facility, plus the ones that just kind of hang around the island. So we don't have all the answers right now.
And then the second question was, I guess, where would all the people go, as you understand, if the HERC facility was to be removed?
Right, exactly. That's up to the mayor. That's up to the mayor. Whatever, you know, I don't think they have an alternative plan right now. That's my understanding. That's why we do have the facility on the island. But I know that our president of RIPA is working hand in hand with the mayor's office in trying to address some of these issues and trying to get the parkland back.
Great.
But we're not getting any substantial answers right now.
Any other
Uh,
questions or comments?
Russell has a question or comment?
We're talking about, Malik mentioned the summer. It's gonna happen as early as the spring when the ball fields should be made available to the schools. How is that population gonna interact with that? Or how safe it is for the schools that use it to permit?
Oh, yes. Excuse me. You know, it's safe. We have, they were there last year when we had all of our camps and all the children are there. Like I said, they've really stepped up the NYPD and they are there permanently, as well as our PEP. So, you know, we are trying to keep, as well as NYPD, trying to keep the island as safe as possible.
Okay. Xavier, do you want us to take a motion on this today, or do we want to continue this discussion at executive?
I think it would be helpful. I think taking all these notes to executive for further discussion would be
Okay.
most fruitful.
Okay, then I would encourage anyone who feels strongly one way or the other, or, you know, if you just want to be there to support this conversation, to attend the upcoming executive meeting where we'll reach a conclusion together as a board. Anything else, Donna, that you need from us tonight?
No, I don't think so, but I do apologize. I
please.
think I missed some conversations that were going on, so I don't know if there was something that you're looking for from me as far as to follow up,
Oh, no.
or, you
No,
know, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible as far as, you know, what I know is what you know, and as I tried my best to explain that.
Yes.
We're kind of in the same boat.
I hear you. And we feel for you, and we want the best for the park. So we appreciate you coming to us with this concern, and we hope to be able to support you however we can. And we'll look forward to giving you an update after the executive committee. But I think we got all our questions answered for tonight. And we appreciate you jumping back on.
Yes, no, absolutely. You know, technological difficulties is my middle name. I have my computer, I have my phone, you know, it's kind of like a little combo of things here.
I hear you. Well, thank you, Donna, and I hope you feel better. And we'll keep you updated as we move forward.
Yes,
right.
thank you. And if you have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out, and I will try to answer your questions as best as possible.
Thank you, Donna. All right. Is there any other new business for the committee?
Roll call.
All right, let's move on.
Would you like to do roll call? Just
Yes, please. Thank you.
Man, what's up with you? I already said.
Malik's in charge today.
My bad. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
David Giordano.
Present.
Jewel Jones.
Present.
Connie Lee.
Present.
Malik McCullough.
President.
Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Asher Rodriguez. Russell Fuller.
President.
Michelle. And Michelle Wilsire Clement.
Present.
Thank you. All right.
Great. Thank you, everyone. This meeting's adjourned at 8:25. I hope you all are doing well, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Folks there.
Bye.
Feel better.
Bye, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.
Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.
Good
I'm sorry.